Hello and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new around here. My name is Ashley and I go by the Ashleyness here. Today we are playing Planet Zoo and this is my Esme Zoo and this is episode number 8. Today we are going to be putting in some Lars Gibbons. I hope I'm saying that right. We're going to continue on putting in some little monkeys and apes into our enclosures, and our zoo is just looking so amazing, as you can see as we fly over. So this build is going to really stretch my abilities and I make something that I've never made before. So this is the location of our new exhibit or habitat that we will be building. Now I did do a little prep work, but I did take inspiration from these photos here. So I did my best, but it is different from the photos for especially for the viewing galleries, but I feel like I really nailed this one. So here I've already kind of started a prep area, so I didn't have to do too much pre-planning for you guys, but I am still doing all of the work. And so you can see that I am twisting this around for the gates, the mesh, and so that we can create, my dogs are just walking everywhere and it's so loud. So we can create this mesh. And I simply did the twist, I gathered them together, and then I just flipped it over on its side, as you can see. Doubled it over, my puppy, and made it this arch of mesh. And so I did this larger arch, and then I'm going to do a smaller arch, as you will soon see. Tippity tap. I know, I should do that as like a thing. Actually, I'm going to try to do that. So if you see an animation on this video, you're going to see that the tippity tap of doggy feet. So, because oh my goodness, they're so loud. So here's the smaller arch. I'm going to do the exact same thing. I do have to adjust it a little bit because it was off slightly. As you can see here, I'm adjusting it to make it fit or line up better, because it just, I don't know what happened, but they were just off by a hair. So I'm not really sure why. But anyways, we're just going to do the exact same thing, except we're going to make these ends. And I've never done this before, and I really love how it turned out. I was very nervous while I was creating it. I wasn't sure if it was going to actually look anything like I wanted it to look, but it really does look good. So it looks a little funky right now, but just give it a chance and you'll see it turns out good. Now this is a shorter build. I'm trying not to hold you guys hostage for too long on my videos. So I know sometimes they're a little long and people like to click away, and so they're not watching, or they zoom through. Anyway, here I'm just taking that smaller arch or dome, half dome, and placing it on the end here, and I'm going to just repeat that onto the other side. And then I kind of was fussing with the sizing because it was like a little too high. So I ended up taking them all after I arranged them all and get them all lined up. And I sink them into the ground after taking away some of these little bits here so that they can actually go through to the little outside domes. And I was kind of looking around. I was like, wow, this actually looks really cool inside. So if you notice, I'm kind of looking around. And if you notice, it kind of looks like the top of like a monkey's head. I thought that was really funny because it was like the top arch and then the ears. So I thought that looked funny. I was like, I did not mean to do that, by the way. It just sort of happened. Now, this part's a little tedious. It took a long time, and I tried to get it to speed up, and you'll see that where I select multiples, just to speed up the process, but I just, you know, some things just take time. And this was one of those things that needed to take some time. So here I was like having a little hard time flipping it around and stuff, but it works out. So here I'm selecting the multiples, trying to get it to work, and it just domed it, arched it, which makes sense. Of course it did. I selected an arch. Of course it was going to turn into an arch. But yeah, so it just slow and steady wins the race in this case. Wow, that kind of rhymed. Didn't mean to do that. Anyway, I don't usually do full on like wire or mesh enclosures, but I just felt like I wanted a different one for this space, and I don't know, I think I nailed it. I am curious, of course, on what you guys think. I love hearing from you. I love your comments. I love your ideas. Like if you have ideas of like what you want, or like you have like an enclosure in mind, like that you found online and you're like, hey, you know, like, can you try to make this one? And no promises. Don't get me wrong. I might not be able to do it, but I am happy to try. So if you have one that you've tried or you just would like to see try to come to life on Planet Zoo, you know, give me a little shout out, give me an example, you know, send me that link and I'll go find it, and you know, whatever, give me some inspiration, because I know you guys have tons of it. You guys are incredible. So here I'm just finishing up the outside bits here, just continuing all the way through. And then I'm just going to select that whole arch, and then I'm going to just copy paste it onto the other end. And we are just flying through this video. I know, it's, you know, this is a fast one. It's a fast one, so it's going to go fast. So how many times can I say fast, right? So anyway, here I'm taking away more mesh to make a viewing arch, because I didn't like the idea of them only being able to see through the mesh, like them being the guest. And so I went ahead and I made that cleared out, and then I'm going to go ahead and make it more cohesive with the rest of the zoo at this point. I'm going to be using that white painted brick pillars, and I'm going to go ahead and just make it thicker because, you know, it's kind of a weird mesh situation going there if you didn't notice. It's not the flattest situation that I would like to have, but it took so stinking long. I didn't have it in me to start over. So here I'm just going ahead and making that arch go all the way around. It takes a little bit of time and effort, but it's definitely worth it. Love my copy paste ability. And then just here, the challenge was just meeting them up in the middle at this point. So here we were having a little struggle lining it up. And then here you can see that we got really close, but it just wasn't quite right. So it did take a little finessing to get it to work. But it looks really nice in my opinion. Like I said, I'd like to have yours though. I would like to know what you think, and if you think that I just went totally left wing on this one and just like, or not left wing, out of field, left field. That's the word, left field. It's quite late where I'm at right now and while I'm recording this, and so I'm a little tired. But no, this is, you know, and I wanted to do the bamboo to make sure it looks more cohesive, because, you know, we've been doing the red brick, the white brick, and the bamboo for our buildings. And so that's my goal for this, is that I continue that through the build, through each exhibit and habitat as best as I can. Now I played with the idea of using these little ones all through the middles there to make it look a little bit more full, but then I decided that that wasn't what I wanted to do. So I did continue through with these on the bottom, and then I realized how uneven this is. Again, it was at this point that it was a little too late to really rework anything. And I just didn't have it in me. And it was a lot. That would have been like starting over. And I was like, I'm not going to start over. And it looks fine. I mean, you know, sometimes we have to just give ourselves grace and understand that we aren't going to hit it right on the nose every time, and be okay with that. So here I'm using the fencing to go ahead and do the glass work just to make life easier. And I arched it alongside. That's why I did each little panel. And I'm adding the bamboo to make it look a little more like a window. I think it looks really cool. Here I'm just checking it, making sure everything's lined up properly, everything's closed up. There was a few gaps, which is what I'm fixing right now. And then just kind of looking around in here. And then we're going to do the building in here. And the building's a little big for this space. In my opinion, I'm not super thrilled with it. I might come back in and change it. But I do like what I did with the outside of it a lot. And the roof particularly. So I might just keep it for that. But it's a little big for this little space. It's a lot smaller of a space than I thought, but these are also really small monkeys that are going into this space. And so I feel like it's appropriate. I'm curious what you guys think. I'm always so curious on what you guys are thinking. I love hearing from you guys and girls and whatever you identify as, of course. But I don't know. It just looks a little big to me. And it just, I don't know, it throws me off a little bit. But it could just me being like really OCD, which I'm known to do. If you haven't noticed, I am very OCD on a lot of my stuff. I'm just like, it needs to be perfect. It needs to make sense. And sometimes it just doesn't. And, remembering to give grace, like I said earlier. So here I'm doing some decals. I'm really grateful for the decals in this game, especially when it comes to the animals. But it's kind of interesting because some of the decals are really detailed and others are very cartoony. Some are more like just solid and don't have detailing to them at all, and like others do. And so I don't know. It's kind of confusing. I wish we had like every animal, and I know this is asking a lot, but I wish like we had every animal that we could have, like that we do have, as a decal in the same way, so that we could do stuff consistently throughout a zoo. So here I see that I didn't quite fill out as much as I wanted of this space, but we're gonna make it work. And I'm just creating the null barrier, hooking it up with the glass barrier that we already have in place. And I kind of did this quickly, but I just kind of went around the outside edges of it. I didn't like try to do like every single little nook and cranny. And yeah, I got a little lazy with the habitat gate. I didn't like do anything super fancy with it. I just kind of melted it into the wire to kind of make it just look like maybe they have a wire opening right there. It does the job. And it doesn't look terrible in my opinion. I think it's okay. I think I was feeling really pressured to not film for too long. And I do want to hear from you guys. I'm actually really curious about this. Do you guys like the longer videos or the shorter videos? Yeah, because like I can do both. It's easy. And then like, do you like them sped up or not? Look at them all go. My goodness, look at the people. That's intense. Yeah. So anyway, I would like to know because, I can cater to you guys, what you're wanting. Do you like it sped up or do you want it like slow and long, because I could make it really slow and long, because this in real life took me like 2 hours ish, maybe an hour ish, to do. Anyway, I'm rambling. I tend to do that. Here, I really like the idea of making them to be able to use the rooftop and gain height in this arch of our building, because they have a lot of sky space that they're not using at this point. And so I really wanted to make sure they had access to that. And so here I'm making that happen. Yeah, and just making it look, supported and structurally sound, making it make sense. We are gonna dip into the heat map a few times here to make sure that we got it all correct. And then here we're starting with the enrichment items, making sure everybody can get everywhere, making sure they can climb a lot of places. I'm kind of zipping around here, making sure it makes sense. And I kind of wanted like water on one end and food on the other end, or like foraging on the other end, so that like they would be like enticed to go through each side, like to go all the way through the structure, so they're not just hanging out at one side. Yeah, and you can see how tiny they are. I mean, like the building's massive compared to them. Like I said, it's like, it seems just so huge, and it's just kind of like, oh, but I mean, they're really small and they can use the whole building now. They can go inside, do their thing, they can go on top, climb around, they can even nest at the top. I make it a nesting area at the top. here in a little bit as well. Adding in some rocks, foliage, just making it look really lush and inviting and, you know, like their jungle habitat. Checking the heat map, and I don't know why this was not accessible at first, because it was clearly where they could go, but it didn't like it, and so I'm not really sure why. I had to move that mirror around a couple times. So then I got the idea to do the vines hanging down to make it look a little more jungly. I mean, we have the bars, we might as well use them, right? And so yeah, I added these on both ends of the structure, and then I add these big vines in hopes that they would climb on them, and to make it look a little more put together, just like more jungly, more lush. And just adding more on this side. Yes, I will adjust it. And then, let's see. And then I really feel like the leaf litter is very important for these builds. It really just makes it pop. And it's just like, without it, the ground is not textured properly, in my opinion. It just looks less realistic. Like, I put it on the roof, and I put it, you know, in the water, and I put it, you know, everywhere. And it's just, it makes sense if you're gonna have this much greenery to have, you know, the fallen leaves as well. And, you know, it feels important to have that. So I do the nesting up the top, and so they can have like sunshine. Maybe they can like sun themselves, and like maybe they've been dragging the leaves inside because, you know, they do that to nest. And then, you know, there's some greenery inside too to make it feel more cozy. And then I'm just bringing in the little rocks so that we can make it more cohesive with the outside. And then we're just going to quickly do these outside landscaping. And we're almost done with this video. So if you're still with me, I really appreciate your time. I love that you're still here. I hope you enjoyed this build. I really enjoyed doing it. I was really inspired doing it as well. It was very different. It was very different from anything I've ever made, which I'm finding happens a lot in this zoo. I'm making a lot of builds that I've never made before, and I'm using a lot of animals I've never used before, or very rarely used. And so it's been really cool so far. And it's not over yet, you guys. I still have so many more to go. And so I really hope you come back, and I hope you stick around. So here we're just finishing up, making it like, I kind of didn't like that they were looking from a distance. That kind of bothered me a little bit, because I was like, no, go closer. So I kind of blocked them up a little bit here. But anyway, we're going to go real slow here in a second so we can do an overview. We're just going to do a spin, and so you can see it. The roof looks really great. It looks, you know, I thought about putting leaves on the upper parts of the mesh on the top, but then I felt like that didn't make sense because there's no trees up there. And then we're just gonna come in, you know, here's the window where they can see in very clearly. And then there, you know, what it looks like inside. We've got our little friends here, and we're just gonna go ahead and kind of peek in at them and spy on them. Well, anyways, we are coming in at the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I really appreciate your help and your time. And if you have the time to comment, please do. Please subscribe. I'm so close to hitting 70. It's ridiculous. I'm so excited. I hope you were inspired, but most of all, I hope that you have a beautiful day, night, or whatever time it is for you. Bye.